Hey guys, what's up? It's Garrett. We're back in the shop again today with the ginormous turd of a second gen 12 valve Dodge I've got, and we're going to do another update on the ginormous wiring issues I've got today. I'm actually starting to get some of these things figured out, and it's nice to make some progress. I mentioned before that I actually enjoy wiring, so this is fun for me, believe it or not. Oh, you just noticed, cool. They've got lights on back there that they didn't think I turned on. Pretty sure that's not going to work. Yeah, let's start my update to a wiring issue with shit that still isn't working. Sweet. Anyway, I found out that the headlight switch was indeed bad, which was probably a lot of the reason they did not all, but a lot of the bullshit wiring on this thing. If you remember, I was tracking down and repairing brakes in the yellow and black wire, which is the illumination circuit to the rest of the truck. Okay, so I'll show you where that comes into play up here. This is the front corner with a bunch of spliced shit, and see, this they did. They cut it off and butt connected and spliced, and this is what ran up to the battery and in the truck and the rest of the shit, and then quick spliced and over to the other side. And this is just stuff that I guess mice or squirrels ate off sitting inside the fender. Now, this is the original cut off portion, so what I've got to do now is just reconnect this and clean this crap up and reconnect it. And on the other side, it's not as bad, because all they did is cut the black and yellow off and splice it into the white, which goes to green, and then back to the bullshit over there. And even that got eaten by critters. So no voltage to the headlights, well, like 0.2 of a volt on all three branches, including the ground, which means it's back feeding, which means it's got a bad ground somewhere for the headlight circuit. So I got to track that down, and that is probably right here at this giant ground distribution block for all the underhood shit. So that's not a big deal. I'm not worried about finding that. Back in here, some specifics. The park lights, I told you this one was the one that had a burned off wire on the back. So I used a circuit tap and add a circuit. And you actually only have to run, I don't know if you can see, but you only have to run one fuse in it if you're just pulling power off and then continuing on. So yeah, that's kind of neat. I like that. This 5 amp fuse behind it, that kind of off brownish orange colored one, I replaced that. That was a 25 amp fuse for right there, the number 13 illumination circuit. Now that one I couldn't get voltage at all on before, and that is for like the dash lights and some other shit. The reason for that is because this headlight switch was bad. So if we go on the back side, you see those two bright orange wires that come out? Well, the feed for those is okay, this is interesting, but this brown and orange one right here, which is right here, the very front left wire there. I couldn't get anything out of that before. I had power on this side, the pink and blue, but not on this side. I replaced the switch. Now I've got power out, and well, I've got dash lights. And you know what? This is interesting with this not like mounted, but they actually like dim and all and work right, so kind of cool. I enjoy it. Now I can't turn it off because I'm trying to do this shit one-handed. Oh well, it doesn't need to be turned off right now anyway. So other things, remember that red wire up here that was cut off and just kind of dangling? Well, it turns out that was actually pink with a red stripe, and that went back and was cut off there, And what it does is it just necks down to the smaller pink with a red stripe, which turns out is the one that was burnt off back here. So with that reconnected, and I got power up here, and that actually powers the black and yellow illumination park light circuit. So I've got all that worked out. I still haven't done anything at all with the back of the truck other than what you saw in the last video, just disconnecting that shit and, you know, figuring out where the shorts were back there. So that, what I'm probably going to do with that is either find a whole nother bed with a wiring harness on it and slap on here, or find like a half-ton Dodge at a junkyard that has a not too terribly hacked up wiring harness and just get that off of there. And the thing about it is, the whole rear wiring harness plugs in right here under the wheel well. There's two square plugs. You can unplug that and yank the whole harness off from the front to the back of the truck. Now, of course, it'll have to be an extended cab long bed to have the harness the right length, or I can find any other Dodge pickup of, you know, this second gen body style and just cut the harness off right in front of the fuel tank and then splice it all back in with weatherproof connectors, and that would still be a giant step above what I've got now. So not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. Time will tell. Another thing of note, I used a Napa light switch, an Eklund brand. The part number HL7057. It actually comes with the whole new harness with heat shrink tubing and all that cool stuff. Because the big problem with these back in the day was the connector blocks were melting and they were catching fire and stuff. If you look up here, this one has already been done. I checked the connector, there's no melting at all in there, so not concerned about it. Now, what I can tell you is that this actually was a Dodge or Mopar update part, because it has this little ground tab on the back sticking off, and the Napa switch doesn't. Now, what's important about that is it actually is this right here, which where'd that go? Before it was this. There's a little connector, and it came over here and it snapped onto the back of that, and blah blah blah, it's done. Now, this was not an auxiliary ground to ground the switch body to the vehicle to keep the switch body cool. Upon testing, this actually had power coming out of it, and what it is the yellow and black and the red and pink wire go up into this, and I think this has got to be a relay in there, because there's only two wires that come back out other than this little one right here. And what I found out was if I didn't have that hooked up, I didn't get any lights anywhere, but as soon as I grounded that, my lights came on. So what I did is, to avoid backfeeding and overheating issues with the switch in the future, I just cut it off. I used a weather-tight heat shrink connector and Prestolite high strand count 14 gauge wire, ran it up and over and cleaned off some metal in the dash and grounded it out. And I mean, as you can see, I've got lights there, I've got lights up here, I've got everything back working again that I had before I went to change in the switch. So I'm happy with that at this point. I've got my fuse block melted thing issue bullshit repaired. That wire under the steering column, that heavy black wire that I could not identify before that I had a fuse in, turns out that is actually just the ground for the ignition switch. If I didn't have that hooked up, the truck wouldn't turn over, wouldn't do nothing. So as soon as I grounded that, the truck starts up every time. Great, no problem. Got that sorted out. What else? I know there's some other shit I'm forgetting, but hey, I've got dash lights. Oh, I actually got my oil pressure gauge and my temperature gauge working the other day. I didn't get a video of that because I was just kind of out here dicking around and it was hot, and I Really didn't think I was going to make any progress, but it just so happens I did. So I am going to make a separate video on how I went through and diagnosed the issue with the oil pressure gauge, and walk you through how to test that on one of these trucks. Now it's probably going to be, that particular video is going to be 12 valve 2nd gen truck specific, but the procedure is going to be the same for a lot of vehicles. Now I can't tell you like what ohms to test for on the oil pressure switch, but I can tell you how to test the circuit, the feed and receive circuit on it, and that's what I did. Now the temperature gauge, the fucking thing was just unplugged. Somebody unplugged it and left it, or you know, I don't know, but I plugged it in and the gauge works, so I'm happy with that. It saved me more work. And that's actually kind of in a bitch spot, because it's like way back in there behind the fuel filter and behind the ear of the head, and like there's a lifting eye, and it's just below and behind that. You can't see it at all, you can only feel it. Yeah, anyway, I'm happy with this. So that's where I'm at right now. There's still a lot more to be done. This light here doesn't work. I'm sure that's just some shitty ass connections, like, I mean, yeah, this is, I mean, once again, non-weatherproof butt connectors, more bullshit wiring, non-weatherproof butt connectors, and this was like full of mud up to here, which I've since, you know, mostly washed out. But oh yeah, look at how broken up and busted the body is. So, and another crack up here, man. Anyway, yeah. So one by one, that's how you trace down electrical issues. My ABS light is on, and I'm pretty sure that's this non-weatherproof fucking butt connector, because this is the plug that goes down to the speed sensor on the rear end. So I'll fix that, and the ABS light will probably go out. It might not, I don't know, but we'll see. I've still got to get the fuel filler bezel to go in here to hold my fuel filler neck up, because that is ridiculous. I'm going to order 2 brand new complete headlight assemblies, one for each side, because those are just all, you know, destroyed. And even if this truck wasn't mistreated, those things, after a few years, they start falling apart, getting brittle. I am kind of pissed about, speaking of brittle plastic, like, this dash has been replaced before, because it is, you know, it's not the same color as the lower dash. It's over here, and you might not be able to see in this lighting in the shop, but yeah, sure you can. So this has been replaced before. There wasn't a single damn crack in it, except for here on the corner where they over-tightened the screw. So I took all the screws out and I started moving the dash, and as soon as I did, this whole thing went clink and just broke off like that. So, I mean, I guess it saved me from breaking up the entire rest of the dash, because I just needed access right here. So in a way it's a blessing, but in a way it's bullshit. I don't know. And if anybody out there knows where I can get the rest of the structure of the dash, because you probably know that, like, the rest of the dash, yeah, it's starting to crack up. And I mean, I can find the replacement dash top panels, not just the cover lays, but the actual panels themselves. But what I can't find is the bottom and the rest of the structure. Like, you see, I've got cracks here and cracks here, and there's more cracks up here, and it won't be long and this whole fucking thing will be coming apart. And I mean, this whole portion is busted out. So even if I get a replacement, like, knee panel, there's nothing to secure it to up here unless I make my own bracket. I really like the older than, you know, 94 to 96 dash or whatever it is. I don't want to have to update to the 98 and up dash, but that's the only other option I'll have if I can't find a good replacement structure. So I don't know, if anybody knows where to get that, let me know. I don't need the top portion, I need the whole rest of the fucking thing. And you know, if you buy another parts truck that the dash ain't busted up in, it's brittle too, so you'll bust it taking it out. I used to do heater cores and evaporator cores in these trucks almost weekly when I was doing automotive exclusively at working at other shops, so I'm very familiar with this stuff. Of course, back then you couldn't even really reliably get the top dash panel. Anyway, I think the next thing I'm going to do is I've got to replace that brake line. I've got, see it sticking out of the bag in the chair there. I've got a new section of brake line, so I'm going to fix that. What else do I have in here? More goodies. Degreaser. This stuff is awesome. This is what I was trying to make a review on, and my camera kept fucking up. Anyway, so here, super quick review. This is badass shit. You're going to have a hard time finding a better product than this out there when it comes to degreaser. Spray this on, let it sit 3 minutes, hose it off, and it's clean. I don't care if it's got grease that's a ½ inch fucking thick on it, it's coming off with a water hose. Got some OSPO for the rusty ass frame, paint brushes. I got a new key made, blah, you know. So, hey, check back in with me. Maybe another couple days. Actually, check this out. Here's the next project. This truck is not like a super priority. I just have been dicking with it because I had nothing else to do. That's the next project. I've got to paint that. And look, it doesn't even look that bad, right? But I had a gentleman that lives locally that he uses this thing for Veterans Day events and all, and it's like this thing was restored a long time ago and sat outside, and it looks good from a distance, but you get up close and yeah, it needs some work. So this is the next project. Honestly, probably not gonna make a video or much videos on this because what I'm using to record right now exclusively is a brand new Galaxy S9, and I'm not super keen about getting like paint and solvents and shit all over it. So yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna give you guys some updates on it, but anyway, just want to let you guys know what's going on. I'm really happy that I'm making the kind of progress that I am on this Dodge, man. I mean, you know, that's one of the big reasons that these trucks go to the junkyard when they get old, is they get so many wiring problems that people can't fix them, and they can't pass state safety inspections. So they'll pull the motor or whatnot or whatever's good, and they'll send the truck to scrap. Obviously this truck needs a lot more than just wiring. It's a complete shit box, but yeah, you'll see. It'll be all right. I mentioned before, I may put an entire new body on it, or I may just leave it looking like a total shit box and build it to like, I don't know, 600 or 700 horsepower and embarrass people with a shitty looking truck in town. That'll be fun. So we'll see. Hey, if you don't mind, if you like the video, like it. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe, hit that little bell button down there so it notifies you when I post new videos, which is almost daily. If you guys keep up with me, you know that. And hey, share the video with your friends, share it on Facebook groups, whatever. Bug the piss out of people with my videos. Hey, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.